to talk today about success, because we basically listened to a whole series of people that have been successful, and I found that it's really hard to be successful. You've essentially got to get a huge amount of luck go your way. You've got to work really hard, you've got to make the right decisions, and I've been really fortunate. I've been involved in a company that started 15 years ago by myself and my two friends from a market stall. And 15 years later, against all our expectations, it was trading in 17 countries across Europe, selling literally millions and millions of smoothies a week. And we've recently just sold it to Coke for, in a really big deal, and it raised loads of money for charity, and we employed loads of people. And so it was a success. And no one was more surprised by me that I happened to be part of this team that was successful. And so, because I'm fascinated, how can you increase the likelihood of being successful? What are the decisions we can all make, the choices that we can implement to increase the likelihood of us being successful, be it in arts, in politics, in sport, in charity? And so I map the world and I sort of try and understand what's going on behind the scenes of people and institutions and organisations, and also the people like today. What have been some of the drivers of success? And this is why I've come up with my 7 ways to call what I call a success monkey, because I think success is this really awkward, difficult thing to grab hold of. It always seems to keep running away, and just like a little monkey. And even if you do manage to catch it, sometimes it can bite you on the arse. And so it's all about how can you sort of capture it, retain it, and make it your own. And I find that there's 7 things that we can all do to increase the likelihood of being successful. I think some of the drivers of all the most successful things I've seen in society. And if I could actually only choose one of those 7, it's this one. Some of the people today have already mentioned it in the talks they gave. It's about being led by a sense of purpose, about having a North Star, having a simple, single-minded raison d'etre. I call it keeping the main thing, the main thing. Innocent was born out of one thing only, to make it easy for the world to become a little bit healthier. We made natural healthy drinks, we sustainably and environmentally sourced them, and we gave a percentage of profits to charity. It was all about trying to make the world a little bit healthier. And once you have that simple, single-minded principle of why you exist, what it is that you're here to do, then the whole endeavour becomes one of just making every choice against the simple criteria of whether it helps you achieve that goal or not. And the best and most successful people and the best and most successful institutions are those that really do inhabit fully their main thing and make sure it is not just the guiding star of where they're heading, but the thing that they make all their decisions by. This is a picture above my desk at Fruit Towers in Innocent's head office, just to remind me of this idea of keeping the main thing the main thing. It's a real photograph of a real head office of a company in America that makes baskets. And I look at that and think that really is a business that understands keeping the main thing, it really understands what it's here to do. And you can imagine if you're that hungover employee walking on a Monday morning and thinking to yourself, what am I supposed to do today? And you look up at that and you go, oh yeah, make baskets. It's really powerful to get it right, to make sure that everything lives the mission. Of course, some instances get it really wrong as well, so you've got to make sure that you're sort of getting things the right way around rather than the wrong way around. So that's the first thing I think that sort of drives success, helps you catch that funny little success monkey, which is always slightly beyond one's grasp. Second thing that I think is a fundamental truth. It's an obvious point, and we all know this already. But anything in society that is big once started small. Every single endeavour, be it in business and sport and charity and politics, it all started with 2 synapses sparring together and someone coming up with an idea and then doing something about it. And I find that a really exciting thought, because the small thing today could be tomorrow's big thing. We experienced it at Innocent. We started from the smallest way possible. We were 3 friends. We'd met at university. We talked about how we'd love to set up a business one day. We were on a snowboarding weekend, having the conversation again. And we were essentially inspired by a hangover. We felt groggy after drinking the night before. We were trying to come up with something that we ourselves needed and wanted. And that's where the idea for smoothies came from. It was basically all about having something natural and healthy, sort of balance the bad that we all do. Have one healthy habit. So we had that simple idea, but we'd never really set up a business before. We absolutely had no experience of the drinks market, and we weren't from rich backgrounds. We didn't have any cash to sort of make this thing a reality. But there was at least a starting point. There was an idea, and we just figured the most important thing is to get into the game. So as a way to sort of encourage ourselves to do it, we bought £500 worth of fruit. We crished it all up to make our favourite smoothie recipe, made 1,000 bottles of smoothies, took it along to a music festival where we took over a small market stall and sold our smoothies from this market stall. And the only sort of unusual feature was, above the stall we had a big sign that said, should we give up our jobs to make these smoothies? We had a bit that said yes on the front and a bit that said no on the front. And we made a solemn commitment to ourselves that if that yes bin was full at the end of the weekend, then we'd go in on the Monday and resign. So we had the sort of weekend trading, getting people to buy the smoothies, drink them and vote with the empty bottles. We got up to the Sunday night and that yes bin was full. We looked into the no bin, there was a few bottles in there. And bearing in mind, this is now 16 years ago. It was only about 6 years ago that our parents confessed to having put the bottles in the no bin. But that meant the next morning we made a commitment to each other, 3 friends, that we would go in at 10 o'clock in the morning and resign from our respective jobs. And I remember being outside my boss's office at 9:57, and I realised I was going to chicken out. So I couldn't go through it. I was too scared of giving up my job and the security. So I went back to my desk and I rang Adam and John. And they said, have you resigned? I said, no. I said, well, why? They said, why not? I said, hang on a minute, have you two resigned? And they went, no, we haven't done it either. So all of us bottled it simultaneously. So then we recommitted at 10:30, we'd go back to our bosses. And so that's what we did. But starting from that stall, that was the thing that got us started. There's some quote, some hippie quote, I can't quite remember, but its essential truth is that it's the moment that you commit that universe will start to provide support in a way that you cannot imagine. And that was certainly our experience of Innocent. We started from that market stall. It got us in the game. It gave us the confidence. We had some consumers buying our products, saying that they liked us. We the next day resigned and committed fully. And then, as I said, 15 years later, this sort of huge business, turning over hundreds of millions of pounds, employing thousands of people, had been created. And we take the credit for it, which is ironic, because there's only 3 of us, but it took hundreds of people to get us there. But if we hadn't have got started, we never would have done it. So I think that's the one message I say to successful people. It's not where they're born, it's not how they look like, it's not how they've been brought up, it's just simply this: they start and then they don't stop. Those are the 2 only characteristics I really see in successful people, that they've started and refused to give in. Third thing that I think is really true, sort of driving success, is thinking entrepreneurially. I think this little picture I've drawn up symbolises that thought better than I can say it in words. It's that is what you want to be as an entrepreneur. You don't have to have set up a business to be an entrepreneur, to think entrepreneurially. Thinking entrepreneurially is just thinking about why not, about thinking yes in a world that's telling you no. And your job, when you're thinking entrepreneurially, is to prove people wrong, to see the pleasure in the challenge of when you're turning that no into a yes. And I've always believed the word no is like an egg. And it may have a really tough shell, and it may take loads and loads of goes with that teaspoon to make that egg crack open. But inside every no egg, there's a little yes bird waiting to fly out. We were told no so many times trying to set business. It took us over a year to raise money. We went to every bank in the country, every venture capital company in the country, every private investor. They all said no. And they didn't say no in a soft way, they didn't say no in an encouraged way. This one guy said we scored 0 out of 5 in the investor's handbook. We're too young, we're all friends, we've never done it before, we've got no experience with the sector, and we're going up against the world's biggest food and drinks company. He said it's a dreadful idea, it will never work. So we just got no after no after no. And it's only because we ran out of better options. We just sent out an email that said in the subject line, does anyone know anyone rich? And we spammed half of London with that email address. And amazingly, well, I got 2 responses back. One was from my old boss, who was a very sort of glamorous woman who confessed that she was having an affair with a guy that lived in Monte Carlo, was a tech exile. So we sent the plans to him, and he didn't invest, but we at least got a really good bit of gossip. And then the second one was a guy, an old school friend of John, who knew a guy that he wants to do a work experience, and so-and-so went to this office, and this guy, he decided to put in the money. So even if you don't know anyone rich, you'll know someone who knows someone rich. So it's just all about trying to solve the problem. Don't accept the no, keep going, find the way around the problem. And then when you're up and running, somebody said it today, I can't remember who, I'm sorry, but somebody said don't let the fear hold you back, and that's absolutely right. I think most people that haven't started something think that it's because they're not confident. And they're waiting till they're confident before you do it. Now, if you wait till you feel confident, it's not going to happen. You've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. It's an Americanism, but it's true. It's also with making decisions, trying to work out should you go A or should you go B. You can spend your life researching the options, but sometimes you just need to commit and get on with it. And this was a little house rule that we had at Innocent about how to make a decision. If you're 70% sure, then go for it. Don't make a reckless decision. Do give it the overnight test. Make sure you've at least thought it through. But don't spend weeks trying to work out, is it perfect? Perfection is the enemy of doing something good. If you're 70% sure about your idea, about that initiative, about that charity you want to set up, or the album you want to launch, or that new business you want to commence, then go for it. I always draw I think one of the greatest philosophers in society is Dr. Pepper. He says, what's the worst that can happen? It's absolutely true with businesses, like it's everything in life. It's like, give it a go. There's so much more to be playing for the upside. And then when you've got going with the sporting organisation or the charity, the arts organisation or the business, it's then really, I think it's always about humanity, isn't it? That's what everything comes down to. A business is ultimately just a community of human beings. And therefore the success comes from finding the right ones, the people that in their heart connect with the mission of the business and in their brains have the skills and experience to help deliver against the business, and forming a community around, I would say, a set, not just of a mission of where we're trying to get to, but a set of values of how we're going to be, of how we're going to behave as human beings to human beings. These were Innocents. There was just 5. Very simple things, but very practical guidance saying these are things we stand for, and these are we stand against as an organisation, as a community of human beings. And it really helped, and it became sort of real rocket fuel to say, we're trying to make the world a little bit healthier, but we're going to do it in a way, essentially, that we can be proud of, in a way that's responsible, natural and entrepreneurial. And having this sort of code of conduct was massively powerful. And again, none of this stuff costs anything. So in your organisation, if it's just a team of 3 or a team of 300, it costs nothing to get together to come up with a sense of this is where we're going and this is how we're going to do it. There is the tough bit as well, sometimes you're going to have to do, which is you're going to have to get rid of the people that aren't prepared to commit to that mission, that aren't prepared to sort of join the community in a positive way, that aren't prepared to live with the values. And we made this mistake at Innocent. For 3 years we didn't let anyone go because we thought there's something unethical about firing people. And it was only because I heard this guy talk. He was called Dan Walker. At the time he was head of talent at Apple Computers. And he was at a conference a bit like this, on stage. It was this big, macho American guy, sat on a stool with his legs wide open going, get rid of the crap people. You want a world-class organisation? Get rid of the crap people. Because this is Britain, we're all like shocked by the language and how impolite it is. And this very sweet British woman put her hand up and said, but I don't understand, I don't know what I'm supposed to do if I don't have anyone to replace the so-called crap person. And he just looked her dead in the eyes and said, honey, at the end of the day, I'd rather have a hole than an asshole. It's okay to use this language in a TED talk, right? But you can Phil's related. But listen, I don't mean this in a sort of, jingoistic, it is something true. If we're going to try and change the world, right? Which is, I think, it's one of Vanessa's best bits of advice. People do something changes the world a little bit. I mean, what a great thing to think about. But you're only going to do that if you surround yourself with brilliant people that are sincerely committed to the cause. And don't feel bad about being ruthless and getting rid of the people that are going to wee into the well rather than help you draw water out of it. Fifthly, work the little details, right? I mean, this is the funny thing in life. People talk about the big things and there are small things. And people think that the big things are more important than the small things. But the size doesn't denote the significance. The little details are as important as the big picture stuff. You've got to do both brilliantly well. This hotel is a success because they've got the big things right. Beautiful rooms, beautiful architecture. But little details like the funny little tortoises walking around. That's the bit that charms, that's the bit people remember. You've got to try and harness those little details. Innocent, as a brand, was about doing lots and lots of tiny little things differently. It's a small example, I'm not saying it's great in any way, but you're supposed to write used by next to the date codes on products and food. And we thought we don't want people to use our products, we want them to enjoy by. So we just did little details, little jokes in the label, the way that the office was, just attention. It shows care, it breeds loyalty, it gives people a reason to remember you, and it communicates volumes. The first time I flew Virgin Atlantic, they came and gave me a free ice cream in the middle of the in-flight movie. That got me loyal to that brand for life. It was just those little details, they're powerful. Get them right, you'll have someone that loves you. Get them wrong, you start communicating really loudly to the world. This guy's a bit of a soft target, I have to admit. Sixth thing I think helps you catch that funny little success monkey is you've just got to keep coming with ideas. The natural state of life is entropy, right? Things fade, so you have to renew. You have to keep learning. You have to keep coming up with original stuff. But God, if you're trying to do that out of your brain, it's really difficult to come up with truly original thinking. So I'm a massive advocate of you basically filter the world. If you're a business, don't just look at your competition. Don't just look at other businesses. Look at everything. Look at the world of arts. Look at the world of design. Look at the world of sport. Look at the world of politics. Sift the world for those little nuggets of something that's brilliant that you can then steal and use in your organisation to achieve your goal. Because if you're stealing ideas from other people, and then I guess repurposing them to make them relevant to the cause, then who cares? The main thing is delivering that goal. So make sure you're always on, because you can't just say once a week, I'm going to become inspired. You've got to be open to the rich complexity of life in every way. So every hotel you check into, what can you learn from that? Every book you can read, every TV show, every person you meet at a TED conference, what can you learn from them? Because every single person you're sat next to has got some amazing secret to tell you that you can steal and use in your business. Innocent we were seen as being this really creative, original company, and I'm really proud of that, and I think to a certain extent we were. We did things differently. This is one of our vehicles. We call it a dancing grass van, covered in grass and daisies, fitted with speakers. It had hydraulics, so it danced around. If you put that outside a supermarket on a Saturday morning, it gets noticed. So we got all this accreditation for being really original. My guilty secret? I totally lifted the idea from the movie Dumb and Dumber. Has anyone seen that? So it was an idea I got from somewhere else and then changed it and sort of made it into instant language. So there's something about, don't feel like you have to come up with the ideas yourself, but do feel like you have to be a source of new. But the world is going to gift it to you if you go out and are interested and filter. And then the final thing that we've found to be true about sort of successful people is they listen. They ask for feedback. They're in a constant state of, tell me what's important to you. The most important thing if you're a novelist is to be in the mind of the reader, not the mind of the writer. The most important thing as a business is to be in the mind of the consumer, not in terms of the business owner. You've got to think about what's in it for them. What do they most value? What do they want you to have as your main thing? And that's the real gold dust, making sure, because that's what I love about consumers. People just say it how it is. We're all guilty in business of resorting to management speaking gobbledygook and talking in nonsense language. Consumers don't do that. They will just, if you give them the opportunity, just tell you what it is that they most care about. We try and keep open as much as possible innocence. Why it says you can't really see it on our packaging, but if you're ever bored, give the banana phone a ring, tweet us, but also all pop round to the fruit towers. On a daily basis, the door is open and people come in and we show them around. And I want that. I want to have unfiltered feedback from consumers because they will tell us what is the most important thing of how we can be successful, what's the most important thing to them. My final chapter is my best example ever of this, of consumer feedback. It's got nothing to do with innocent. It was a letter by an 8-year-old girl given to an air hostess to be given to the pilot of a Qantas flight. And I thought it really does get to the customer. This is exactly what the consumer most values. I'll read it out in case you can't see it because of the handwriting. It says, "Dear Captain, my name is Nicola. I'm 8 years old. This is my first flight, but I'm not scared. I like to watch the clouds go by. My mum says the crew is nice. I think your plane is good. Thanks for a nice flight. Don't fuck up the landing." Thank you.